All right, guys, we're going to have to talk about this Ron DeSantis video. I mean, obviously, Ron's running for president. He's running around the country endorsing every fascist, from Doug Mastriano in Pennsylvania to J.D. Vance here in Ohio, assuming that Donald Trump is going to go down with the law, and that's probably true, hopefully true. But if there's anybody who can't pull off a video trying to be cool and interesting, it is Ron DeSantis. He is the charisma, as I've said before, of a week old gym sock lying in a pile of feces in 112-degree weather with 114% humidity. He just isn't likable. He's obnoxious. And as much as I can't stand Donald Trump, and I think if you watch this, you know that, like, Trump has a sense of humor, has a likability at times that attracts people on the right, and sadly some independents even, right? I mean, people just sort of say, oh, he said something funny. DeSantis has this permanent sort of scowl on his face, like somebody just gave him a colonoscopy. And this video is so cringy. Oh my God. It's so cringy. It made my cringes cringe. You may remember I ripped into Dan Crenshaw on here, a former Navy SEAL eye patch guy, for the fact that he did these Mission Impossible like videos, and the military ripped into him for using his military service, of course, in a partisan way and probably in an embarrassing way, if they were being honest. These videos were just so awful, but at least he served. DeSantis was a military lawyer, which, you know, he gets credit for. He did something for the military, but he didn't serve. He didn't put on a flight suit. Ken Harbaugh, who's a former candidate here in Ohio, did this great takedown you should check out of him, a guy that was actually a Navy pilot. Okay, so DeSantis begins and it says Top Gov. I'm not kidding you. And then he says, he stands up in front of the board. He's looking all like, you know, trying to look all cool and with the shades on and his rather roly-poly, portly body. You know, I got to tell you, he claims he's 5'9", 154, which is hilarious because the height is about where I am. And he's not 154. He could be 254 and they may get their numbers wrong, or Ronnie Jackson is his doctor. But he looks ludicrous. He looks out of shape. He doesn't look like somebody that would be in the military. He's a dork. He's not funny. He delivers these lines where he's like, today's task is to take on the corporate media and the rules of engagement. Oh God, it's so bad. We won't fire unless fired upon. But then we'll fire with overwhelming force, which is never what the military says, of course. They say if they're engaged, they will fight back. And then he shows himself insulting members of the media because it's obviously an ad where it's him against the media. It's the only reason Ron has any problems. It's not because he attacked the biggest employer of the state in Disney because they didn't want to, you know, persecute or prosecute gay people. It's not that he attacked the Tampa Bay Rays, one of the two baseball teams in the state, because they actually had the gall one night to send out statistics during a game on gun violence after a huge shooting and thought that maybe people should be educated about that. It's not because he fired one of his prosecutors, who he has no right to do, suing him now because the guy said that the law yet isn't clear based upon Florida law. There's some protections in their law for privacy and abortion rights in the state law, and it's not clear yet that the law that Ron DeSantis signed is constitutional. I mean, you know, there's a million more examples. Rebekah Jones, who, by the way, was nominated to take on Matt Gaetz. DeSantis, you know, in Congress, like to take him on in a congressional race, which is awesome. She's the one who was in the Department of Health, kept track of COVID accurately. DeSantis fired her because of that, because he wanted to cover up the deaths and the sickness and destruction. And then she kept doing it on her own time. And then he raided her house and had them point a gun at her and her children and took all her hardware because he couldn't have people getting accurate numbers out of the genocide he was committing, basically. That's too strong. I don't want to use that word, but out of the ignorant allowance. I mean, people died because of him. He let people die. So, you know, you can judge that for how you will. But to me, as far as I'm concerned, it's a negligent homicide. He knew what would prevent it and didn't care because of his political career. That's a little mosquito. Let's call it DeSantis. And so, he, in this video, he's, you know, whenever Republicans try to act like tough guys or try to act funny, you ever see Ted Cruz try to do his Monty Burns? I mean, there's such secondhand embarrassment. If I had Mitch McConnell's turtle shell, I would crawl up into it. Not while it was on him. It's just, it's awful. when they try to do tough guy, especially like Josh Hawley, with the fist raised while he was in the khakis, he was like born in his docksiders. I mean, they're just pathetic, right? And so DeSantis actually puts on a flight helmet in one scene, and somebody put this up on Twitter. It is nothing so reminiscent of when Mike Dukakis did that. And I'm sorry if you guys are younger and don't know the story, look it up. When he was running against George H.W. Bush. George H.W. Bush had actually been a fighter pilot and all this kind of stuff. And Dukakis wanted to look strong. He was a governor. And he wasn't a big guy, whatever. And he rode in a tank with a helmet on, and it looked awful. And it ended up backfiring. This will backfire on DeSantis. I'm going to use that clip of him in his little helmet with his face smashed together like this, big fat face. I'm gonna share that everywhere all the time when Ron DeSantis says anything. That image will haunt him the rest of his life. But the whole video, I can't imagine what those who serve in the military feel like watching it, because it is the cringiest, fake tough guy. He's putting on the boots and strapping on, the leather jacket, the one he didn't earn, which is stolen valor, essentially. He's acting out a role and pretending he was in the military, which he was not. He was at least served in active duty. Well, let me get the terms right. He was not in combat, and he's acting like he is and was for this pathetic video. And God, just share it if you see it, mock how pathetic he is. Again, all he comes off as, he's trying to sort of sell what Chris Christie was trying to sell. Except for also Chris Christie, at least because he was from New Jersey, was moderate in policies, right? He wasn't nearly as right-wing. He was open to some gun control and climate change legislation. Ron DeSantis is a right-wing kook in Florida, and recent numbers show that Floridians are not sold on him. Charlie Crist was just nominated, who has been governor before, been elected statewide before, only lost to Rick Scott, who spent like hundreds of millions of his own dollars by like 1 point. And as a former Republican, I don't agree with Charlie Crist and everything, but I love him now. He's our nominee. He can bring in a lot of moderate Republicans he was ahead of the never Trump game. When Marco Rubio beat him in the Tea Party wave of 2010, he saw where the party was going and moved away from it. So let's just put it this way. Ron DeSantis is an absolute clown. You must watch the video. You must share it and mock him. And with that, I would ask you to please also share this video. Don't mock it, though, of course. Subscribe here to The Takedown with Cliff Schechter. That's me. And, turn on notifications so we do 2 to 4, 5 sometimes videos a day. I'm going to be adding even more content soon. And like it and comment. Say nice things, mean things, in between things. I didn't mean that to rhyme, but it did. Follow me at Cliff Schechter on Twitter. Thanks for being here, guys.